What's up, everybody? Josh or Miho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Gigan, entitled Multidimensional Fractal-Sorcery and Super Science. This is released on Willowtip Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based originally out of Tampa, Florida, and are now residing out of Chicago, Illinois. And the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very bombastic, fantasy-inspired, psychedelic, and just overall forward-thinking style of progressive death metal. The first time I had ever heard of this band was back in 2011 with their second album entitled Quasi-Hallucinogenic Sonic Landscapes. Man, oh man. That album was just so amazing. I mean, it's very rare whenever you hear an album that fuses the tenacity of death metal with the intelligence of progressive metal, and that album brought out the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Just so much great musicianship, a lot of hard work and attention to detail, the technicality, the riffs, the fast drum work, the awesome vocals. I mean, it's no wonder they're named after a monster who went toe-to-toe with Godzilla. That's the kind of heaviness and epicness that Gigan bring to the table. And in doing so, it led me on to their debut album entitled The Order of the False Eye. That was an amazing debut album in its own right. I can't remember the one song. There's like one song at the end of the album that's like 16 or 10 or 16 minutes in length, and it just really showcased the stamina and intelligence and hard work that this band does. Now, when I found out that there was going to be a new Gigan album on the horizon, I was a little bit excited. Because, honestly, Quasi-Hallucinogenic Sonic Landscapes was an amazing album in its own right. But it made me wonder if they were going to top it, or better yet, build around the last album to create something more crazy. And here we are with another long album title and the third full length from Gigan. It's 8 tracks, and it clocks in at around 44.5 minutes in length. And the album starts off with a 9-minute long track entitled Between the Sea of Tranquility. And from the minute you hear that song, you're already going to get the kind of vibe you get with your usual Gigan record. You're going to get a lot of building up and suspense, and then it leads on into the actual song itself. And pretty much this is probably one of the most focused, driven, and just hardest hitting pieces of progression I've ever heard this band do. I mean, this is amazing stuff, and very much intelligent. This is progressive death metal for the big boys. This isn't something that's overhyped or made to seem bigger or over the top. This is what legitimate progressive death metal should sound like, and Gigan are the band to do it. The man behind this band, Eric, really is part of the heart and soul of this band, and he definitely showcases that with the guitar and bass work on this album. He does dual duties here, and the guitar work on here is incredibly merciless and incredibly well crafted. I just love the way the guitar is being played on this album. It's very smooth, very well calculated, very well played and mixed. The riffs are incredible. Some of the technicality that showcases itself throughout the 8 tracks on this album is just so superb and smooth. It moves and glides along perfectly. And every riff and every guitar tone on this record just sounds amazing. I mean, take tracks like Influence Through Ritualistic Projection and Electro-Stimulated Hallucinatory Response. You get some fantastic guitar work going on here, and I think it's amazing the kind of hard work and effort and detail that's put into the riffs. The bass work is incredibly clear and crystal. I love the way that it sounds here. It definitely is a perfect catalyst to the guitar being played on this album. I just love the way that it sounds, the way that it's mixed and mastered, and it definitely doesn't try to duel with the guitar. It definitely has its own middle ground, and it ends up sounding terrific on this album. Now moving on to the drums. probably some of the heaviest and hardest hitting drum rolls and fills I've heard on any record this year so far. If I'm not mistaken, this is a new drummer at the helm, and this guy definitely pounds and destroys the hell out of his kit on this album. The snare tone on this album is incredibly dominant. Just the way he hits it and the way that it's played, it is incredible. The snare, the drum fills, the blast beats, the the syncopation, the patterns, it all sounds phenomenal. The longer tracks, the middle length tracks, it all is incredible stuff to listen to, and this guy does an amazing job with the way he plays his drums. Going back to the beginning track, Beneath the Sea of Tranquility, you get a little bit of the diversity that's shown within the drums on this album, and it just sounds amazing. To even songs like Obsidian Sun and Cosmic Triangular Communications. Just some amazing drum work to be heard on those particular tracks. This guy is a monstrous drummer, and I am so in love with the way he plays his drums on this album. He almost destroys the kit. It almost makes me wonder if anything he played was reinforced because of how heavy and how hard-hitting he plays on this album. It's just so awesome. And moving on to the vocals. Going back to what I said about there being a new drummer, the vocalist is also a new addition to the band. He was a vocalist in another really awesome band that I'm aware of called Humanity Falls. He has a really dynamic vocal range, and I wondered what kind of vocal style he'd bring to this band. And in doing so, he showcases an incredible amount of vocal diversity, very guttural vocals, very understandable and hard-hitting. His mid-range growls are amazing. His high screams are amazing. This guy is all over the place with his vocal style, and he definitely delivers some incredible vocals. Going back again to the opening track, Beneath the Sea of Tranquility, to Influence Through Ritualistic Projection, you get some amazing vocal stuff going on here. Going back to that particular track, there's some moments where the vocals seem a little bit distorted and layered, adding more of that science fiction element to this band, and I think it's amazing. And another little element about this album is the use of synths and keys and just overall atmosphere to this album, just the little sound effects and special effects that you hear on this album. It definitely showcases why Gigan are such an epic sounding band, and they definitely add a lot of layers and stories to be told about this album. So overall, this is probably the most inspired I've heard Gigan sound. I love this lineup. I love the way everything is executed. It just sounds amazing. This is an amazing band, and I'm glad they were able to make this album as amazing as it sounds. It sounds great. It feels great. It's epic. It's bombastic. It's crazy. It's just a sci-fi fueled good time, and I love it. If you're a fan of Gigan, you'll have every more reason to enjoy this album. So if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Beneath the Sea of Tranquility, Influence Through Ritualistic Projection, Obsidian Sun, Cosmic Triangular Communications, and Bioengineered Molecular Abnormalities. Fun, crazy, tongue-twisting song titles, and I love that. So I'm going to leave you a link in the description box to the Willowtip Bandcamp where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, be your own judge as to whether you want to purchase it or not. It is available physically and digitally. You can buy it through Willowtip or pretty much any retailer that carries Willowtip titles. So again, the album is Multidimensional Fractal Sorcery and Super Science by Gigan. This is released on Willowtip Records. Check this out, and I'm going to give this a very strong 9 out of 10. This is some awesome progressive death metal from a band that really cares about what they do and how they put things out. Major, major props to Gigan for making a badass album. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for coming to my channel. And until the next time, Armijo out.